Imagine yourself walking down the street and you see this guy, this young guy. What will be the first thing that comes into your mind? You might think that he's a lazy person. He's still young. Why isn't he working? Why is he still homeless? You might think that he's not hardworking enough. He's a failure of life. He is a drug addict, a criminal maybe. But let me introduce to you. This is Amran. Amran's family had Amran's family had died when he was young. So since then he has been roaming between towns to get jobs. Well, you see, Amran during the day he has a work and he has a decent coach going to the work. It's just that he has been homeless for the last 30 years, and and this is what we are saying, like when we first judge him, we think that he's a loser. But actually, Amran, he has a future. He is a working man. He is not a drug addict. And he is someone who is struggling to make his life better. And maybe he works even harder than us. So our first definition of him is unfair enough, right? So Arman deserves a better definition of himself. And so does our definition to everything else in our life. So when we set that first thoughts in our mind, that is what people often say as a stereotype thinking, where you come to a shortcut of defining something in a simplified way, in a generalized way, in what societies think. So it saves your time to define something, but it is not fair because you are not sensitive enough to your definition. And this is what happened to Arman. So tonight, what I'm going to share to you is for us to define our definition. Our definition is actually influenced by lots of factors. There are external factors and there are internal factors. So for the external factors, our surrounding, where we grow up, that influence our definition. A poor people might have a different definition compared to a rich people. That is a fact, right? And besides that, expectation. Expectation is one thing that influence our way of saying things. We start to define things based on the way we think people think what we think. You get what I mean? Yeah. So at that point, we are not being sincere enough to our definition. And the third one, you want to guess? Yes, the media. So the media actually plays they keep on bombarding us with all these definitions of life. Definition of ideal life, success, beauty, educated, individual success, all these terms. But some of them are facts and some of them are factuals. And these factors, all of these external factors, is what shape our definition. So we might come across people that have a very weird way of defining things, and we just don't understand what is going wrong with their brain. Like, this is common sense, but why do they have this sort of definition? It is because of the external thing. Because we can't choose what sort of surrounding that we are bringing up. We can't choose how to not meet people's expectation, right? And there are times we can't even push what the media are feeding us today. So that are something that is what we can say out of our control. So we need to understand how some people may have a different definition as us. But the good news is we still have the internal influence. Well, internal influence is something that all human has it. And all human are in control of it. What do you think? It is our heart and our mind. Well, it's very typical. People say, okay, use your heart, use your mind. But that is it. This internal influence is what controls you. It's what makes you be able to push the external influence that is defining you. You have the right to define your way of thinking. Right? So even though we have lots of definition of things, even though we have the freedom to define things, and we have the rights to define things, but that doesn't mean that our definition is right, right? important for you to make sure that your definition is right. Because our definition determines our action. How we see the world, how we act towards it, that determines by our definition. For example, the latest issue, the Rohingya issues, right? These Rohingya, they are migrating from Myanmar to the Southeast Asia. So some people have a different definition of them. Oh, don't make it 6. Okay. One is they say they are illegal immigrants, and the second person might say that they are refugees, and the third person might say that they are their brothers and sisters. So the first person will, when they say that these Rohingya are illegal immigrants, they tell not to give them food, give them shelter, because they say, we don't have the right to protect them. Why should we, right? They are just illegal immigrants. They are coming to our country. Why should we protect them? And the second one, when they think that the Rohingyas are refugees, they will provide food and they will provide temporary shelter. And the third one, when they see them as brothers and sisters, they don't just provide them food and shelter, they give them a chance to live a normal life. They take them in. They make them as their family. So these 3 ways of definition actually causes like 3 types of actions. So you can see how important it is for us to define what is actually we are defining in our life. Oh, 6 minutes. All right. So what is the right definition? Have you guys ever heard what is the right definition? Like, what's the right definition? Well, frankly saying, I don't know what is the right definition. As a human, there is a limitation to our definition, and that limitation is knowledge. Knowledge is something that might be right and wrong knowledge. We need to seek the right knowledge, either using our internal influences, our heart, our mind, using our logic. We need to search whether something is correct or wrong. Even in Islamic conceptual, there is a term tabayun, where you verify the knowledge that you have. You have an explicit, a detailed understanding of what is your defining something. So, whatever that you guys are defining in your life, your future, your success, your way of living, what you are going, the definition of success, failure, beauty, rich, make sure you have the right definition of it. Make sure you have the right knowledge of it. Because what you define defines you. So please, define a definition.
Globalization is an influencing force everywhere in the world. It's a phenomenon that's allowing the world to unite, to join forces in enterprises, in politics, in the media. It's a concept that companies use to their advantage to bring their own something to the world stage and allow individuals from all around the world to share in whatever that something may be. Now, imagine the world, how many countries there are. In each of these countries, how many states and regions. And then in each of these states and regions, how many cities. And then how many people live in these cities. The thought is amazing, right? Just how many people there are in this world. And yet how we, given the right circumstances and the right platform, can present our own something to that person who lives in that city, in that state, of that country, far away. Now, of course, globalization has not just happened by itself, and there are lots of contributing factors that have allowed for the spread of information in this way. However, one factor triumphs above all, even above the development of technology, which I would say is a close second. And this factor is language, a global language that allows individuals from all around the world to communicate, allowing easy, widespread diffusion of opinions and vantage points from one cultural background to another. No surprise to you, I'm sure, that language is English. Did you know that over 1 billion people today speak English as either a first, second, or third language? Did you know that it's predicted after the next decade, over 2 billion people will be speaking English or studying English? For us nowadays, it's a crucial resource for operating on the world stage. The 2 most dominant economic powers in the world are America and Britain. And English is the #1 language of publication for science, music, technology, and politics. English is essential. as the world is focusing all its efforts towards this global language concept and changing curriculum so that the next generation can have a solid English foundation, there's always two sides to the story. At what cost is it to have a global language? In 2005, there were 6,912 actively spoken languages in the world. Today, there are just 6,500 living languages, meaning that 412 languages have become extinct in just 10 years. It's estimated that after the next century, there will be fewer than 1,000 living languages, just 15% of the languages spoken today. Now I know 100 years sounds like a really long time, right? So let's just put that into perspective. By the time you have great-grandchildren, 5,500 of today's languages will no longer be spoken. Ladies and gentlemen, when a language becomes extinct, we lose so much more than just a language. Many years of culture and history are present in the language of an ethnic group. Their words, their sentences, their characters, they all demonstrate years of cultural influences, can tell us so much about what happened in their past, and tell us about their way of thinking. Let's take a look at some examples. Mandarin Chinese. Now, I'm sure most of you will be aware that there are two written forms of Chinese, traditional and simplified. And this in itself presents a tense backstory about the fruition of communist China, when traditional characters were, just that, simplified, in a hope to improve the literacy rate of the nation at the time. And this already is just one example. Let's take a look at a character now. This is a character meaning to think, to miss, and to desire to do something. And if we take a look at it closely, we can see that it's made up of three components. Two smaller characters on the top, and one larger character at the bottom, known as the radical. And this is the radical for heart. So what can this tell us about the classical Chinese mindset and their values and their beliefs? Well, this character actually demonstrates that people of this era believe that you used your heart to think and to miss someone and to desire to do something. This character, like so many other characters, is a representation of the way that these people understood those emotions. Let's take a look at a proverb next. Now this proverb is the English equivalent, is the equivalent to the English saying, pot calling the kettle black. And it literally means it's the moat and the beam, which is a reference to a story in the New Testament. So what can this teach us about French culture and values? Well, this demonstrates that France, in those days, as is the case today, is majority Christian faith. And it also demonstrates that they highly value the Bible, as they take lessons and morals from its stories and apply them to everyday life, using them in everyday conversation. In modern-day France, however, use of proverbs in daily conversation is not so common, and French is becoming more and more modernized in conjunction with the rise of English as a global language. Here's the bigger picture. Languages, learning them, speaking them, understanding them, allow for so much more than a means of communication. Languages provide a platform for mutual respect and understanding, tolerance and empathy. It is a door to that ethnic group's past, a door which can be so easily closed when our attention is steered away from it. And as I discussed earlier, indeed these doors are being shut. So much so that only 15% of today's doors will still be open when your children have grandchildren. So, while the global language concept is great, and there's going to be uniting of nations in communication, let us not narrow our focus towards one style of communication only. Rather, be conscious of a variety of languages. Why not take on the challenge to learn a language that's perhaps not so popular? See where that language has come from. Learn about its history. Learn about the people that speak that language natively, what they value, what are their beliefs. Ladies and gentlemen, languages provide insight into their history. And while it's great to unite nations in communication and technology and in science, history is what brought us here today. So let us not lose sight of where we've been to get here. Thank you.
Tuhan ingin bicara sama aku tentang apa artinya kesabaran. Tuhan mahu ajarin aku apa artinya bersangka baik sama Tuhan. Itu kata-kata kawan saya. Kisahnya 3 minggu lepas dekat MRC. Saya dengar rahsia itu. Lepas tu, I found itu. Apaan kamu masih di sini? Bukan udah habis pengajiannya tahun lepas. Lepas tu dia senyum lama. Agak kemas lagu saya. Apa itu? Lepas tu dia cakaplah kata-kata tadi kan. Ujian hebat untuk orang hebat. Dia gagal satu subjek dan kena repeat satu subjek. Betapa hebatnya dia kerana masih bisa untuk bersangka baik dengan Tuhan walaupun dia diuji. Siapa sini nak gagal angkat tangan? Siapa sini nak repeat angkat tangan? Saya sih bawa satu kisah untuk okey, ni hilang perkataan gems from Terbang Tunduk. Gems. What is gems? Kita analogikan, boleh sejarah ke? Kita analogikan gems ni macam dia ada satu batu yang berharga. Macam berlian. Contohnya. Berlian tu seperti apa dia pada asalnya? Adakah dia terus berkilau macam dekat Tiffany & Co? Macam dekat Habib Jewels? Tak kan? Dia adalah batu kusam yang dekat tepi jalan yang kalau orang tak ada ilmu, dia tak akan tahu itu adalah berlian. Tapi dengan ada orang yang study benda tu, they do the action of cutting the stones, dapatkan angle-angle, refraction of light, reflection of light, maximizekan dengan potongan tu. Fizik kan? Belajar sikit. So hanya dengan the action of cutting, the action of pilih angle yang betul akan menukarkan sesuatu yang buruk, yang berharga, yang tak ada nilai, yang tak berkilau menjadi sebuah yang mahal harganya. Sama juga macam lagu. Atau apa peristiwa yang berlaku dalam hidup kita. Kalau kita just make it lagu, lagu, dia hanya akan jadi halwa telinga kita bila study dan mengantuk dan nak tidur dan nak touch-touching. Tapi kalau kita mengambil satu action untuk mengambil angle, untuk melihat lagu itu pada angle yang benar, pada angle yang boleh meningkatkan silauan, cahaya punya panahan tu, kita akan mengubahkan sebuah lagu atau apa-apa saja yang kita melihat dengannya menjadi sebuah yang berharga dan kita boleh kutip dan guna untuk hidup. So sebab itulah saya nak buat pasal lagu. Alright. Ini sedikit baik-baik ya, akan saya bacakan. So izinkan sebab saya tak hafal lah, sebab saya tak bernyanyi. Bertahanlah wahai raksa, jangan berhenti. Berpautlah wahai nyawa, ini bukan mimpi. Saksikan dengan mata, rasakan dengan jiwa, kau sedang tinggi. Jauhnya kau terbang, siapa sangka? Gegar yang menghalang, tak besar mana. Payah-payah semalam, moga-moga mudah selamanya. Tiap apa yang mematah, tiap apa yang menolak, tiap yang menolak, dia di belakang. Orang tu nanti habis masa. Moga dibuang, dendamkan saya. This is the Musfirah. Tuhan, jangan kau isi aku lupa. Jangan kau biarkan aku mendepang dada. Pasakkan hatiku pada kaki. Paksakan aku duduk sampai mati. So lagu ni apa tadi kita kata tajuk ya? Terbang, tunduk. It's like oxymoron. Kalau siapa yang suka English kan. Dia macam dua benda yang berbeza. Terbang dan tunduk. Sebab pada liriknya, kita melihat dia terbahagi kepada dua. Tadi ada 4 kan, 4 slide. So, dua first part lirik, dia menunjukkan terbang Yang dua lagi, Tunduk. Macam burung. If we were to look at our past, semua orang siapa pernah sangka dia akan study dekat UQ sekarang ni? Dulu waktu kecil-kecil, saya akan study di UQ sekarang. Semua ni macam kita macam, macam mimpi je, aku ni taklah pandai sangat. Kawan aku yang dapat straight A tu tak ada pun flight overseas. Berapa banyak ujian, berapa banyak kesusahan yang dulu kita rasa kita tak boleh nak go through. Kita rasa kita macam, impossible-nya nak esok. Contoh apa? Dulu kita rasa SPM tu dah paling susah. Kita rasa ADFP tu dah paling susah. Semua tu lah yang paling susah. Kita rasa IELTS tu lah yang paling susah. Berapa kali kita gagal untuk yang gagal kan? Tak, maksudnya, tapi kita berjaya kita berjaya menghadapi dan kita sekarang ada di sini. Nak kata, dah 20 tahun. Range lah, siapa tua tu nasib lah. Range 20 tahun, kita dah berjaya hidup, kita dah berjaya bodoh. Semua kesusahan yang kita rasa macam, ya Allah, tak boleh. Dah menit. So, bila kita kata tadi awal dia boleh kan, bertahanlah wahai raksa. Kau dah terbang tinggi. Kita dah melalui macam-macam. Kita dah ketuk sampai dah nak dekat hujung. Kenapa sekarang baru nak putus asa? Kenapa baru sekarang rasa macam nak give up? Hanya dengan kita fail beberapa paper, hanya dengan kita kita akan jumpa gems tu. Keep going wahai raksa. Raksa tu raksasa, bukan saiz tapi gems. Okay, then another second part is tunduk. Bila kita kata tadi kita hebat, aku hebat, aku dah melalui semua susah tapi dah lalui. Lagu ni mengajarkan kita untuk belajar untuk tunduk, belajar untuk merendahkan diri. 7 minit. Betul, sebab tadi diorang tepuk yang so potong. So, balikkan semua kebesaran kita, semua kebanggaan kita, semua yang kita rasa akulah yang hebat, yang kita ambil full kredit tu dekat diri kita, balikkan kepada Tuhan. Jangan minta pada Tuhan, jangan biar aku lupa. Tak kisah aku dapat PhD ke, aku ni presiden, bla 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 bla. Benda tu macam mana? Pada asalnya, pasakkan bila kita minta pasakkan hati kepada kaki, paksakan aku tunduk sampai mati. Sedarlah, tinggi mana kita terbang, kita tetap burung. Analogi. Setinggi mana kita pergi, sebegaya apa kita pakai baju, kita tetap humble pada ilahi, pada Tuhan. Benda tu akan buat kita macam mana? Behave. Akan ajar kita macam mana sepatutnya aku hidup aku. Akan buat kita sedar diri. Takkan ada orang yang selfish dan macam nak mementingkan diri dan lain-lain. Sebab dia tahu semua apa yang dia ada. Dia adalah burung yang hebat kalau kita analogikan dengan burung. Dia tahu tempat dia di ranting tu. Dia tahu tempat dia, setinggi mana dia terbang, dahi yang dibanggakan dia akan menyujud ke tanah juga. Itulah. Aku lupa Azim, astagfirullahalazim wa lakum. Itu saja.
Assalamualaikum guys. First of all, can we give a very huge round of applause to QUC and also Jasmine. It's the first time Abu and the gang is doing this, and this is the turnout. And yeah. Okay, on my topic today, why poor countries are the best places to be. And you might be thinking that why is it that I narrowed down the context on poor countries, not like you can just go travel and see different cultures and in rich countries too. But the reason for that is actually because I went to Nepal in 2000, a couple of years back with a few friends. And what I got from Nepal was much more than like every prior travel experience I've had. And I just thought it would be good to share it with you guys. And the simplest answer for that question is simply because it makes you more grateful. Okay, a bit of facts and figures in Nepal. Economically, Nepal has a GDP per capita of $1,600, and Malaysia has a GDP per capita of 15,800, which maybe would be more if our leaders are. And that makes Nepal one of the poorest countries in the world. And 70% of Nepal's like GDP is from agriculture, and that's actually that's a lot, because it's like Chinese economy before, which is so bad. And a bit of location of Nepal. Nepal is situated between India and China, and it is where the tallest mountain in the world, Mount Everest, it's there, and 8 out of 10 tallest mountains in the world are in Nepal. And yeah, I was there. Good stuff. And then a bit of about the people. Nepal's population is about 27 million, which is more or less like Malaysia, and 83.1% of the population is actually Hindu. And yeah, next. Okay, this is okay, this is a photo of me. It's a really cool photo, because this is a photo with a holy man in Nepal. Maybe as well we know about it. But a bit of fun facts about the holy man. In Nepal, it's actually legal for them to smoke marijuana. I bet he was tripping balls when we were taking this photo, man. Next one. Okay, about my trip to Nepal. It was not really a planned trip, and we bought the tickets a month before. Me, my friends, 5 of us to be exact. And the first night we were there, we got picked up at the airport, and like we went to our hotel to have a rest, and suddenly the electricity went out. And I was like, what's going on, man? And I went downstairs to the reception and asked them, why is the electricity out? And he said in Nepal, every day, 12 hours, there are 12 hours of power cuts. Every day, every single day. And we're still saying that TNB is not doing a good job. I mean, we may have problems once in a while with TNB, and TNB even has like YTN. They have their scholars. They're producing people like Abu, our very own president, and that's really great. That's the way to look at it in a bigger perspective. When we have problems in our country, there are a lot more problems in others, in the poor countries. Next. Okay, the next day we were there, we decided to join a trekking track. A trekking track. It's actually 8 hours away from Kathmandu. And we actually wanted to go to Everest, the base camp, Everest base camp. But it's just too expensive. And you have to take a different flight just to go trekking in Everest. So we decided not to do it and to try in other place, which is in Pokhara. Alright, from Kathmandu to Pokhara, it was an 8 hours bus ride, and it was awful. It was because I asked the tour guide, is it a highway? Oh yeah, it's a highway. You guys know how in Malaysia we have that like holes everywhere, and that's 8 hours of it. So you guys can just imagine that. Next. And in Pokhara, this is the view from my hotel room. It was really beautiful. Pokhara is the second largest state in, like, second most populated state in Nepal. And there was a lake beside like this part, like yeah, like the other part, but yeah, it's really nice. And next to go. And in Pokhara, I actually met a lot of people, and this brings me to a story of a guy I met, a hotel owner in Pokhara, and he said he moved out of his house when he was 14, and he moved out when he was 14, and he actually started working, and now he's a hotel owner, and that's really great because in Nepal with no education and everything, it's really hard to do that. And I mean, I think of what I did when I was 14, and when I was 14, I was just like, I was shuffling and I was like, shuffle itu seni. Like, it's really awesome. Next. Okay, this is Subindra Adhikari. He was my tour guide, and he really helped us a lot. He actually has a degree in history and politics, but he didn't make it because the country was too corrupted and the politics was so bad, and so he decided to just learn himself English and be a tour guide. And a bit of his life post the earthquake that just happened. And yeah, this is him. I helped to book school. he actually has a really good spoken English, but not like written English. Like, he writes to village people, and like his place was severely affected by the earthquake. And you know what? How you feel like when you donate to another country, you don't feel like maybe it's not there, it's not going to be there. If anyone wants to like help this person directly, you can come to me and I can transfer him the money directly. And like it's very sure that it's going to go to him. Next one. Alright, so we ran on a 4 days and 3 nights trekking trip. There was just some place. At this place, the people in Nepal, in their schools, along the trekking track, we went through villages, and there were a lot of schools, and these students, they walked like 300 steps up in the morning and like down in the evening just to go to school. And that got me thinking of like what the situation we are in now. And next one. Yeah, that's at the peak. That's actually the 7th and the 10th tallest mountain in the world, in Nepal.
Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Alright, politik. Apakah perkara pertama yang terlintas di fikiran apabila anda mendengar perkataan ini? Adakah ini? Adakah ini? Ini? Ataupun ini? Bagi kebanyakan rakyat Malaysia, inilah politik. Dan begitu juga bagi saya pada suatu ketika dahulu. Terdapat 2 pilihan raya umum telah berlaku sepanjang saya berada di sekolah menengah pada ketika saya tingkatan 1 dan tingkatan 5. Dan pada waktu itu saya membayangkan yang saya ingin menjadi seorang ahli politik. Tetapi sebenarnya itu bukanlah definisi tetapi itu adalah satu salah faham terhadap politik. Dan bagi saya salah faham ini berpunca daripada tahap pendidikan di Malaysia yang mungkin kurang maju, yang menyebabkan rakyat berfikiran sempit tentang politik hanya kepada parti politik semata-mata. Dan satu lagi yang saya perhatikan, kebanyakan daripada rakyat Malaysia walaupun pelbagai keyboard warriors tentang politik, tapi saya rasa lebih ramai rakyat Malaysia yang sebenarnya masih lagi ignorant tentang politik. Dan mereka merasakan politik itu sangat kotor dan tidak mahu mengetahui tentangnya. Ini adalah tubuh Don Quixote dan Sancho Panza di Madrid. So, saya akan membawakan kisah mereka. Buku ini ditulis pada tahun 1605 di mana Quixote merupakan seorang petani dan dia bercita-cita untuk menjadi seorang pahlawan. melalui buku-buku yang dibacanya, dia rasa dia boleh dia cakap Horizontal merasakan dia memiliki ciri-ciri seorang pahlawan dan akhirnya dia berjaya mempengaruhi Sancho Panza untuk mengikutinya. Dan misi pertama mereka ialah memusnahkan kincir angin yang mereka sangka itu adalah satu raksasa yang akan menyerang mereka. Yang menariknya di sini ialah this guy Sancho mengetahui betapa gila dan dia mengetahui bahawa Horizonte ini mengalami halusinasi. So jadi kita dapat lihat walaupun dia mengetahui seseorang ini gila tetapi dia still lagi dia masih lagi mengikut arahannya. Persoalannya adalah adakah dalam kalangan kita di Malaysia yang memiliki kebodohan seperti Sancho? Politik sekarang ini disenonimkan dengan kotor, jijik, dan ada satu buku yang ditulis oleh Syah Nur Ahmad yang menggambarkan politik sebagai shit. Yeah. Syah Nur Ahmad ialah seorang sastrawan negara. Alright. Alright. Sebenarnya walaupun kita tidak berminat dengan politik, tetapi keterlibatan politik itu adalah tanggungjawab kita semua. Menjadi manusia diciptakan untuk menjayakan misi keamanan, keadilan dan juga memakmurkan muka bumi. Tiada istilah non-politik dalam kamus hidup seorang manusia. Menurut Tariq Ramadan, kita tidak boleh berkata I don't do politics because silence is a political statement. Jadi, menjadi tugas kita untuk menyertai politik. Tapi, politik yang bagaimana? Politik yang saya ingin ceritakan ialah politik warga ataupun citizen politik. Melalui politik warga, kita harus membezakan keterlibatan politik dengan parti politik. Rakyat kini bukan lagi pengguna tetapi penentu dasar bagi kehidupan kita. Politik warga tidak terikat dengan mana-mana parti politik. Dan kita perlu membezakan dan ia bukanlah politik bukanlah terhad kepada aktiviti mengundi, berkempen ataupun menghadiri ceramah-ceramah parti politik. Melalui ruang politik warga, kita dapat memainkan peranan kita untuk memajukan negara dalam sektor ekonomi, keselamatan, kesihatan, pendidikan dan sebagainya. So, bagaimanakah kita boleh menjalankan misi politik ini tanpa terlibat dengan parti politik? Saya ingin menyampaikan satu konsep iaitu perkongsian kuasa ataupun power sharing. Ketika Saidina Abu Bakar dilantik menjadi khalifah, beliau berkata, ikutilah aku jika aku benar dan betulkanlah aku jika aku salah. Dan apa yang diamalkan oleh Saidina Abu Bakar ini diaplikasikan di local governance di UK, di mana mereka mempunyai scrutiny committee iaitu jawatan kuasa pemantauan untuk memantau kerja-kerja kabinet. Ini adalah satu buku yang saya baca, ditulis oleh Dr. Mazlum Malik, seorang penganalisis politik yang sentiasa kalau kita tonton Astro Awani, Dr. Mazli sentiasa terkehadapan. Alright. Dan perkongsian kuasa itu juga mempunyai konsep check and balance di mana dia memantau kerja-kerja pihak berkuasa. Kerana apa? Manusia sebenarnya mempunyai limitasi dan mudah terpengaruh kepada nafsu. Terdapat satu rancangan televisyen di UK bertajuk Question Time, di mana setiap orang berhak menyampaikan idea dan berkongsi serta menyuarakan pendapat mereka masing-masing. So, ini adalah salah satu contoh di mana UK mematangkan rakyatnya tentang demokrasi tapi dalam masa yang sama tetap menjaga adab-adab menghormati antara satu sama lain. Alright. So di sini saya ingin menyampaikan bahawa kita sebenarnya mempunyai kuasa untuk mempengaruhi polisi pihak berkuasa. Perasaan kita tidak puas hati seperti Azim, tidak puas hati dengan kerajaan, tidak puas hati dengan pihak berkuasa, sebenarnya kita masih lagi itu ada satu indikator yang kita ni cukup baik, satu rakyat yang baik. Sebagai individu, kita mestilah menanamkan sifat politik pada diri kita sendiri dan cakna dengan apa yang berlaku di persekitaran. Bangkitlah dari kelalaian dan kehidupan yang bangkitlah dari kelalaian dan kehidupan kita yang tidak serius, kehidupan kita yang main-main, kerana politik warga merupakan era politik baru bagi pemuda masa hadapan. Sekian, terima kasih.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Fiona and this is my topic today, Kaya versus Vegemite. I'm not going to be here telling you, like, what's the recipe for Kaya or myself. The topic speaks for itself. It's a comparison between two nations. So Kaya representing Malaysia and Vegemite representing Australia. So, but it has got a personal touch to it. Like, what I really want to talk about today is my personal development over here. Over the span of 4.5 years living in Brisbane, and how I have developed myself to be an individual of what I am today, who I am standing right here. So what actually happened is that I'll break the whole process down to four phases. I'll start off with I call it the shock phase. So just like how every other typical Malaysians are, I lived in Malaysia throughout my whole life. Until 2011, I moved here for the very first time. And I have not actually had any exposure of living in a foreign land. Neither I had a foreign friend, or rather what we call a white friend. So, until I got here, and on the very second day of my arrival, that's when it happened, my first encounter of, I don't know what you're saying. So I hopped into a 428 bus, and I was heading towards Indooroopilly. Got into the bus, touched on, and then it was a full bus. So I was standing next to the driver, and he asked me, "Hey, do you have a ticket?" And I went like, "Huh?" He said that again for 3 times. And the very last time he got so agitated that he had to spell it out. He said, "Do you have a TICKET ticket?" And all the moment, my mind was just blank. I was like, what is he saying? I couldn't even assemble the letters together to make sense out of what he was saying. And I guess eventually he just gave up. It's like, oh, whatever, she's hopeless. But really, it was a very embarrassing moment for me. I mean, really, it was a question as simple as a 5-year-old could answer, do you have a ticket, yes or no? But I just couldn't comprehend anything that he was saying at that moment. What actually went wrong? Now that I think back, was it because of the language barrier? The answer is no, because we learn English in school, and we can speak English, we can write, we can read. What actually happened was my self-confidence. I came here without knowing anyone. Like most of you here would have came in a group, and then you have friends over here. I came here by myself, literally by myself, and had no one, no friends, no family. And I got here, so I was a bit timid, had no self-confidence back then, and this thing just started playing in my head that, this perception just came in saying that, yeah, you're from Malaysia, English is not your first language. Whatever you say, they will not understand you. And whatever the Australians say, you will not understand them either. It was just playing in my head. It was not true, but it was just playing in my head. So soon I got out of that phase, I improved in my listening, I improved in my speaking, and I would call that the identity crisis phase. I do not know who I was at the time because, I got better and I thought, as an international student, I'm sure you guys get this a lot. Do people ask you, hey, where are you from? What's your country of origin? A lot of people ask you the same question because obviously you don't look white, you don't look Caucasians. People ask you that. And often I get these questions and I start thinking, why do they ask me that? Are they judging me? Are they judging where I come from? Are they judging my background? Then, I just had this self-defense. Subconsciously, I started faking an accent just to blend in. why I did that was probably to hide my true self, not letting people know where I actually come from, and I tried to blend into the society here. And did it work? The answer is no. It really did not work at all. The result was reciprocal. Because what happens is that the heavier the accent goes, the more they do not understand me. It's like, huh? It really did not work at all. And then I was like, shit, obviously it wouldn't work. Common sense. I mean, like, look, I look Asian, realistically. I come from Malaysia. How could I be having an Australian accent? It just doesn't make sense. You know, everything was just not blending. So soon, I got out of this identity crisis, and then I moved to the observation phase. I decided to take a step back and started observing. And I tell you what, the Australians are very negative people. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Okay, if I were to ask you, how's your, hey, how are you? What would you say to me? What's the immediate answer? Good. Exactly. More often than not, you get the answer good or fine. Thank you. But if you were to ask the Australians here, hey, how's it going, mate? Not bad. How far is it? Not far. How much do you get that for? Not much. Do you have any idea what that is? No idea. Every single response has got a negative element in it. Do you realize that's how negative they are? It's just how they are. For us, it's like straight and concise. How are you? Good. Good. That's all we have. Is it expensive? No. Yes. Very straightforward answers. But you don't get that from the Australians, funny enough. And the other thing during my observation phase, I realized this. Prior to coming to Brisbane, I have always been very proud to be a Malaysian, and I would just tell people with pride, hey, you know what, I'm from Malaysia, and we are a multicultural nation, multicultural country. And then I'll just go on talking good things about my country. We have the Malays, we have the Chinese, we have the Indians, and other minorities. Look how many we have. And then soon I realized I was such, and then soon I realized I was such a fool, you know. Because when I got here, I started mixing around with people. And I tell you what, today I have got friends from Kazakhstan, from Iran, from Russia, from Germany, from Papua New Guinea, from even Slovenia, which I have never heard of before I came to this country. And I'm like, now you tell me which is a more multicultural society. I always thought Malaysia was, because that's what was instilled into our mind, you know. But we did not actually take a step backward and actually see the comparison. So now that moving out from the observation phase, now I'm in the realization phase, which is where I am now. I realized that it's a very globalized and borderless world today. Like, you know, having English as an international language is a very good medium for us to communicate. And it's not about what accent you put out. It's not about how you sound when you speak, but it's more like the pronunciation, the grammar has to be right, the vocab has to be suitable. You know, that's what's more important. And okay, she's chasing me, so I'm just cut it short. What I really want to say is, if you have, like, you know, communication is a form of art. If you're an artist, you're going to do it in your own way with your own character. You can't mimic someone else because that's no longer original. Just be yourself. If you're going to say, how are you, la? You know, it doesn't matter. And Australian will still understand. If you think that la suits in the sentence, just add the la in. Just add the So, yeah, it's a form of art, and it's a form of art, and just be yourself in that. And what I really want you guys to take away tonight is, do not be shy. Speak up. As long as you're clear enough, as long as you pronounce it right, people are going to understand you. Do not hide your own origin. Just be who you are, be proud of where you come from. At the end of the day, you can take me out of Malaysia, but you cannot take the Malaysia out of me. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to apologize for my lack of skills in presenting slides. As you can see, a very good evening to everyone present here today. I appreciate the opportunity given by QC in allowing me to speak, to be one of the 10 speakers involved in this very interesting event. See, when I have an on people assume that I forgot something. And we can only know when we forget something when we have forgotten something. And to know someone is to actually perceive that someone. And I firmly believe that to be is to be perceived. Because in reality, in our daily experience, when we go through our daily interactions like we are right now in this very small space, we tend to think that we are individuals, but at the same time we are actually connected, interconnected, and at a bigger picture we are more than just an individual. What I would like to talk to you today about is, say I'm mumbling now. What I would like to talk to you is about forgiveness, in which we cannot have complete forgiveness. Because whenever we forgive someone, we always attach conditions in that forgiveness. And I'm talking about Jacques Derrida. He's a famous French philosopher from Algeria. He was born in Algeria. Basically, he's a deconstructionist. He believes that we should annihilate languages in the sense that we should scrutinize everything. Languages, thoughts, speech, interaction, everything in our praxis, in our lived experience. So when he says that we should scrutinize everything, he means everything, even God. So when we scrutinize everything, we allow ourselves a sense of freedom. But we have to grapple that freedom with the real world, because we live in a real world. We do not choose which situation we were born in, which family we were born in, what race we are, what race we are for that matter. We don't choose that. This is what we call moral luck. Moral luck is something that is not changeable, it's fixed. When we have moral luck, we have to apply these conditions with our daily experience. And we have moral luck, it means that our capacity is different from one individual to another. Like right now, my capacity to think probably is limited because I have a certain amount or certain parameter of words that I have applied to my mind, to my speech. And everyone in this room would actually perceive me as giving speech, and you would be the person listening to the speech. And this interaction, this datum, this experience that we have right now can only remain in this frame. Because whatever we have right now is just memory. When we have memories, when we go to our daily lives on a daily basis, when we go the day after, we're just left with memories. So Derrida talks about forgiveness as something which is not attainable, because say if someone steals your money, about 10 ringgit or $10, someone steals that money and he or she asks for forgiveness. When he or she asks for forgiveness, the forgiver would actually say that, oh, I forgive you. But subconsciously, he or she would believe that that person has to repent, has to show remorse, has to have regret. So when you attach conditions to other people, it means that you're not fully forgiving that person. It means that you're attaching conditions, you're changing the facticity of that person, you're changing the lived experience of that person. And when you do that, you render the other person as an object. When you do that, there is no achievement involved in apologizing. When this happens, it means that we have to actually take into consideration everything else. Our interaction, our speech. Alright, this is a picture, anyone can guess? Yeah, that's true. The reason why this picture is on the screen is because I believe that what the Rohingya people have suffered is very bad. I think everybody would agree with me. But we have to look at the social and cultural aspects of it. The people of Rohingya are actually from Bangladesh. So when they are in Myanmar, they are considered to be different. They are considered to be of a different culture, different ethnicity. So they are not considered to be Burmese. And when this happens, there's a difference of ideas. When there's a difference of ideas, there's a clash of opinions. There's always going to be violence. And when there's violence, this is what you see: destruction and despair, remorse and regret. Okay, can anyone guess where this picture was taken? Canberra. This is in Nuremberg, Germany. This was after the extermination of the Jews, a couple of years later. This is very interesting because when the Jews were exterminated during the Holocaust, everyone was saying that it was normal. And everyone, I mean by the Germans. When they say it was normal, people wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. But now, after we proceed in our modern world, we believe that it's a bad thing. No matter who you are, you would still say it's a bad thing because a lot of people died. And when we talk about forgiveness in this sense, when they ask for an apology after the thing has happened, about 10 years after that, would you think that forgiveness is real? I mean, the person that has to forgive the perpetrator is dead. So who represents the person on behalf of the person who is dead? Is it valid? I don't think so. And Derrida also mentions that this is not possible because it's a mere facade. It's a show. It's just for political pursuits and ambitions. All right. Do you guys know? I just like to ask this question. Do you guys know where this is from? Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, this was back in Malaya, an emergency. So this is closer to home. So when we see this kind of picture, I'm sorry for the probably a bit gory, yeah, apologies for that. But when we think about such pictures, such images, what goes on to our minds? What goes on to the minds of that person in that picture? We wouldn't know for sure. We wouldn't know anything for sure actually, because what we have right now is just information that we think is knowledge. But what constitutes knowledge if not experience? So when we talk about knowledge, when we talk about experience, when we talk about languages, it comes with the fact that we as individuals are not individuals. We relate to one another. And that is why my topic is called I and you, because you and me, you and I are the same. We don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. We don't know if the world's going to end next week. We can only assume that our lived experience will go on a daily basis, week by week, month by month. And we can only believe in one thing for certain, because death is imminent. That's the only thing that's inevitable, which is death. And apologies for making it sound very pessimistic, but I believe that everyone should take into consideration that we have different facts, we have different opinions, we have different ideas of religion, of God, of anything else for that matter. Okay, this is a picture of the, not Vietnam, sorry, Palestine and Israel. So you can see that this person is holding a body. Don't know if it's a male or female, but when you look at such images, it just constitutes a feeling of sadness and remorse, you know. But we can only assume what's going on to his mind. And in essence, life is just an assumption. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening to everyone. So this is a heads up before we start. My name is Syahirah.
Dan saya Musfirah. Apa yang akan kami persembahkan hari ini adalah dalam gaya spoken word poetry, atau dalam arti kata lain, kami akan berpuisi.
And we'll also be talking in bilingual, so I'll be speaking in English, she'll be talking in Malay. So I hope that you guys can understand and hopefully enjoy. I have a secret I kept to myself. I am a coward. I am scared of being stupid. Scared that this mouth would flow those ridiculous things in my mind to those ears who could never understand. I can never be that girl who can raise her hand every single time she wants an answer. I can never be that guy who can easily give his 2 cents that actually worth 2,000 pennies. I'm actually that girl who sits at the back in her own bubble thinking, why am I such a loser? Intelligence have always been like that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow where everyone is racing to get, but nobody knows where. All I know is I'm in this race and I have to run, aimlessly and meaninglessly. And worse, I still don't know how to move my foot. And that is how stupidity feels. And my heart is exhausted every day.
Ini ada satu lagi rahsia. Aku tak punya cermin di rumah. Jadi setiap pagi merenung ke dinding aku. Kerana apa yang digambar lebih jelas. Itu aku, kosong tapi berwarna, sederhana tapi keras, biasa-biasa tapi kuat. Kerana cermin hanya mempamer kurang aku di sana sini dari berbagai sisi, dari semua segi. Senyum sengit aku yang tak akan pernah simetri, bulu-bulu halus yang seharusnya hanya ada di muka lelaki. Kerana Tuhan kurniakan aku cukup-cukup 2 mata untuk tilik diri sendiri. Aku tak perlu sepasang lagi yang menjegel, menyuruh, meneliti. Jerawat ni tak ada malam tadi. Makin hodoh ke aku semenjak dah tak jadi bayi. Dan kerana Cukuplah dengan bisikan, kau gemuk, kau perlu kurus lagi. Aku tak mampu melihat rupa anoreksia dan bulimia yang memakan tubuh ini. Jadi, semua cermin di rumah dah pecah dan takkan berganti sampai sudah.
My head is filled with words that I want to breathe onto others. However, that one tiny voice would always say, no one would understand. So those words that I want to spread like dandelions would always be crushed by my own foot. All I could ever wanted was to say, yes, I do have something to say. But no, insecurities would latch itself onto my brain, and the stronger I fight, the stronger it clenches its fist around me. And with that, my confidence would fade away. Lord, how I wish for the heart of a lion and veins made of steel so that I can make my way with pride. But my shrunken brain and my timid heart held me captive. It's like standing at the edge of that cliff with no reason to turn back and too scared to jump.
Aku ini orang salji, mudah berdarah hancur dengan tangan-tangan orang. Jadi aku perlu disimpan rapi dalam bola kaca di atas meja kecil di sisi kamar ibu ayah. Tapi kenapa? Kenapa aku dibiar keluar pergi seorang diri? Di luar ini tiada langit kaca yang melindungi. Di luar ini suara aku tak didengari hanya kerana rupa tubuh aku jelek tak persis bidadari. Ibu, tak ada siapa yang mempeduli walau hati ini menyebar bau wangi. Ayah, dengan jeling mata cebik bibir mereka menghakimi. Walau telah dibukti aku bisa menjemput turunnya salji. Di sini tak terasa manis mentari menghangat siang hari. Cuma malam dingin sepi melewati berulang kali. Jadi kenapa ibu ayah? Kenapa aku dibiar keluar pergi sendiri?
But I am so afraid, I am so tired of being terrified, so that now when people ask me, tell me about yourself, I would speak the truth. And the truth is that I am nothing but scared. There is nothing in me except for a timid heart and a shrunken brain. And that is okay, because to be able to admit that insecurities feed on your soul like a ghost is the bravest act of all. So admit those tiny details that bothers you to the core and blend it with your life until you are no longer afraid to live in the shadows, and blend it with your life until you are no longer sitting and standing on the edge of that cliff. So that in the end, honey, you can have insecurities and still live happily ever after.
Aku kan kurangmu, wahai gadis-gadis perisau kesayanganku. Kerana sampai bila? Sampai bila mahu tutup mata dan tunduk bawah sahaja? Sampai bila? Angkat kepala dan keluarlah cari cahaya. Kuncinya, cuba. Katakan ya pada semua benda, biarkan nalurimu beraja. Kerana kita ini manusia, bukannya rama-rama. Hidup kita pastinya lebih lama dan tak bersandar pada sekadar rupa. Kutip cebis-cebis berani yang masih bersisa. Cuba. Sekurangnya, nanti bila ditanya, kita boleh berkata, dah aku kerah usaha sedaya upaya.
So let yourself be bruised and let yourself be kissed. Whatever you do, go for it. Securing the most insecure of things is not about changing who you are. It's about living with those tiny things that made you who you are. So honey, you don't have to change. Just be sure of your insecurity as much as you are sure of what you're going to have for dinner, and feed on it. You don't need a mask to hide your scars. You don't need to ponder upon those who are going so well with their life, and you don't need to wonder about your existence, because every constellation begins with a single star in the vast universe.
Tentang dirimu itu sayang, tiada apa yang perlu dirisau untuk diubah. Tapi bagaimana mahu menambah? Bila mencari manis dalam kehidupan, menangis dan menyanyilah dalam hujan. Kerana derayan air dari awan mengubat kesedihan. Bila ragu-ragu dengan pertimbangan, suarakan sahaja pada teman-teman. Pasukan sorak peribadi yang setia dalam setiap perjuangan. Berhadapan dengan caci, maki, keji, syaitan, sampahkan negativiti dan gerak maju ke depan. Cakap-cakap orang, lepaskan saja dari beban. Bila hati sendiri menembak dengan soalan, perempuan pakaian mana yang harus jadi pilihan? Capai saja diri sendiri dan sarungkan. Lakukan apa saja yang kau inginkan, utamanya ketawa. Kerana dunia perlu lebih banyak senyuman. Dan kira satu persatu apa yang dipinjamkan, setiap apa yang kau nikmati turun dari tangan Tuhan.
If time is a thief who loves to get sweets into its list, then make sure that He made you the best list of your life. Don't waste your love, don't break your dreams, don't exhaust the stars in you. So secure your insecurities and let that insecurities touch lives.
Menarilah dan terus bermimpi. Kerana Tuhan berjanji, Dia menyimpan cantik, pandai lebih kita di suatu hari yang tak terketahui, tapi pasti.
The golden rule says do not do unto others what you will not have them do unto you. So maybe you don't really understand this. Maybe you do, I don't know. But the reason, maybe you're wondering, why is it the golden rule? Is because in every religion, in every culture, Christianity, Islam, Confucianism, Buddhism, everything talks about this one principle where you don't treat other people the way you don't want them to, the way you don't want yourself to be treated. That's the essence of the golden rule. That's what it means. So, but the thing is, I'm here today to tell you a couple of interesting things about the golden rule. And is that the golden rule doesn't work, even though it's supposed to be the golden rule. And I'm going to do more than tell you that it doesn't work. I'm going to show you exactly how. And I'm going to be proposing a different way to go about the golden rule. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you how it doesn't work, right? So now, situation A. I'm going to ask you all to imagine you guys in situations, and I want you all to answer honestly, if you don't mind. Answer honestly because only you will know if you're being honest or not. So, in situation A, you're at uni, you're about to eat lunch, and then you see you have a friend around, and you know that she hasn't eaten yet. She's hungry. She's watching you eat. So, knowing this, knowing that if you were hungry yourself, you wouldn't want people to be eating in front of you. How many of you will actually eat your food in front of this friend who's hungry? Raise your hands. Right, none of us will, right? But how many of you will actually give your food to her? Share it with her. Alright. Now, okay, next situation. Situation B. You're stranded on an island. You only have enough resources for one person on that island, for yourself. And then suddenly a boat full of people from a nearby island with no resources turn up. You know that you don't have enough, or you only have enough to last yourself a while. How many of you will push the boat back? And how many of you will gladly welcome them on your island, knowing that you'll run out? Some of us will, some precious human beings, but most of us will be worried about our own situation. Now the thing is, this situation is all fictional, right? But no, I'm here to tell you it isn't fictional. Situation A, I think it goes without saying, it's happened to every one of us. But situation B, how is it not fictional? I'm going to remind you guys, I'm going to draw the parallel between this and the Rohingya. Now, a lot of speakers today have spoken about the Rohingya, but for those who are still unclear, I'm just going to give a brief background. Rohingya Muslim are like a brief minority, Muslim minority in Myanmar. You already know they're refugees. The thing is, May 2015, this year, somewhere in the middle of May, they came to Malaysia, a boat full, many boats, came to Malaysia, seeking refuge from our shores. What did Malaysia do? I'm sure a lot of us know, and if we didn't know, I'll tell you. Malaysia pushed the boat back. So, if you were in that boat, would you want the boat to be pushed back? No, you wouldn't. If you were in that boat, would you want to be sent back to the country where you came from? No, you wouldn't. You would be wanting help. So, I'm not going to be giving any right answers on what we should have done in the Rohingya situation. I'm just going to ask you, can anyone here say and feel truthfully that we should not have pushing the boat back wasn't wrong? That we should not have given them help? Can anyone here say that? No, we all agree we should have given them some help, right? But that's the thing. That's why the golden rule doesn't work. Because actually, Malaysia was practicing it when we pushed the vote back. We were practicing the golden rule. We didn't send them back to their own country. We've helped other people, that kind of thing. Those are the kinds of arguments I hear people saying, people who believe that what Malaysia did was right. And like we've all agreed already, what we did was wrong. We should not have pushed them back. And yet we were practicing the golden rule when we pushed them back because we didn't undo to them what we didn't want them to do to us. The point is, like some people have argued, we didn't send them back to Thai, we didn't send them back to Myanmar or wherever they came from. At least we didn't do something bad, but we didn't do something good. What we did wasn't enough. And that's why I'm saying the golden rule isn't enough. So how will I propose to rewrite the golden rule? I will propose it this way. To do unto others the way you will have them do unto you. It's a minor difference, a small difference, a mere rephrasing. But you can see how differently you will act in such a situation if you were to keep that rule in mind. In the situation of the Rohingya, in the situation of the Israel-Palestine conflict, if people just did what they will have others do for them, a lot more solutions can be found. Solutions that are easier, that can be actually executed. And never mind in those big issues, in terms of everyday life, if you see your friends in trouble, if you see anyone who needs help, if you practice this golden rule instead of the one previously, you will know a lot more of what to do, I believe. So my time is almost up, so I'll read through this. But some people will say, but there has to be a limit what you can do for other people. The way you want them to do to you. I mean, we can't all be giving people our lunches or helping everyone with everything we have. And maybe there has to be a limit. There is, and I'm not here to tell you how to define that limit. But I'm just here to question that limit. Does it really have to be there? We're all human. It's an accepted fact that everyone has a selfish streak. But is that selfish streak something we can't battle? And even if it is something we can't battle, this golden rule, this new golden rule, is still something to practice. So what I'm here to say today, and I'm Nurul Jasmine, and today I'm just here to bid you all to rewrite the golden rule. Do unto others what you will have others do unto you. The next time you don't know what to do in a situation, the next time you're morally conflicted and you think the right thing to do isn't so clear, this rule can help. This rule about doing for other people what you will want them to do for you.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Am I too loud? Sorry. First of all, thank you so much to QSC for this opportunity. And now I know that Hilmi and Jimmy are the same person. So, this is my topic today. But before I jump into it, right, can I ask the question, how many of you guys associate the word judge as a negative word? Can I see hands? Amazing, thank you so much. So, this is the thing. Before I start, I'm going to tell you a story. Actually, 3 stories, but never mind, one story. I was in high school. I had a terrible life in high school. I had a friend. She's really smart. She's always ahead of me in exams. She's pretty. I mean, that's important, right? She's pretty. And she has this beautiful voice that every boy just sort of got infatuated with her. Boys were big things in high school. I was jealous. I was consumed by jealousy that I kind of took things too far, but I'm not going to tell you what I did. I don't remember how, but we became best buddies. And I realized that then I understand her, that she's more than what I see. She's well-driven, she's extremely smart, and she works hard for it. And, it's not her fault that she has a beautiful voice and everybody falls for her. It's nature. It's biology. And so, that sort of just became a turning point that I should start to understand people better. And then there's also another person, which is a pretty contrary this girl whom everybody thought was the best. She was humorous, she had good speeches, and she's just amazing. But in the end, she sort of turned into a pretty deceitful person and everybody hated her. And then there's also me in high school, who's this crazy female Kelantanese debater who talks too much English and uses too much English curse words and just wouldn't stop talking. And then as a head of female welfare at the time, my team and I had this opportunity to throw this pajama party for 200 plus girls. And I guess it was the word party that people sort of said things about me. The boys said things about me. And it wasn't a closed hall. It was 200 plus hormonal teenage girls eating. And we probably had too much good stuff. Too much good stuff. It was great. We had a ball. Not literally, but we had a ball. And I realized that the next day, I was probably playing too much Nicki Minaj and Britney Spears in the hall that night. Because the next day, I heard that the boys were associating me with, well, they called me Setan, and, because I organized it, but yeah, so I was misjudged because of that. We just really had fun, we just performing in the hall, but it wasn't a big of an issue. But these three stories shows us something, right? It shows us that you can judge people and it turns out differently. And I think that all of us can relate to the fact that, you always get misjudged. There's always misconceptions about you, and it happens. But really, when I ask people, like, what do you think of the word judge, you associate it with as a negative word, when really it's just a word. Like, why is it that when we see judge, we definitely is going to put don't in front of it, don't judge, stop judging. But everybody does it. It's your brain making sense of what's happening. For example, you see someone with books all the time, and you can say, oh, she's a bookworm, or he's a bookworm. That's not negative. That's judging, but that's not negative. Judging is deciding, coming to a decision of what your senses sees, what you touch, what you hear, what you smell, everything around you. And when you make a conclusion about that, when you decide what it is, that is already judging. There's no negative or positive to it yet. So why is it that judging has become so negative? I think it's because we have been channeling it negatively. We've been channeling them negatively in a way that on social media have caused cyberbullying, depression, low self-esteem, a new socially constructed ideas of life, of how you should live, has emerged that if you do not fit in it, then you're going to get condemned. There is no problem with pointing out someone's mistake in order for it, with the hope for a betterment for that person, for the situation. But you do not condemn. You do not channel your judgments negatively by condemning people. There is always a way to channel judgments positively. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you, how do you judge positively? Back in 2011, if anyone has ever been in, I'm not sure how many schools they do this, but SEM projects, school enrichment models. Yeah. So I had a team of 4 people, and we did a little literature research, a social science research on judging and how judging is natural. Everybody does it. It's your brain doing the work. And you can't stop yourself from judging. There's no such thing as stop judging, don't judge, only God can judge me. No such thing as that. But what you can do with your judgments is that you channel them in a way that, of course, you choose. And we managed to get 2nd place in school. Yeah, just in school. We got 2nd place in school, and I think that ought to say something about, this issue, that there might be some sort of truth to it. So here I've come up with 3 ways in order for you to judge positively. First of all, when you judge, keep it to yourself. You do not know if it's wrong or it's right. And if you want to dig deeper into that, go to step 2. And step 2 is, I forgot what step 2 is. And step 2 is you take that person's shoes, tie it up, lace it up, walk in it. Understand the reasoning behind something, why people do things. And third of all, if you decide what you want to do with your judgments. You want to tell people that what they're doing is wrong. You want to tell people that what they're doing is right. You want to do anything with it, you do it. But you decide, and you decide positively. Say for example, like someone's smoking weed, and you think it's wrong, because it might not apply to everyone. So you think it's wrong. Good stuff, good stuff. So you have to, okay, say you think it's wrong, and then you want to do something about it. Oh, this is wrong, this can't go on. This person has to change to be better. I'm going to do something about it. So you decide. And what you can do positively is, lace it up with motivation, sugarcoat it with, some sort of guidance. You can't play God and say something's wrong and right. Even God doesn't impose how you should live your life, all right? But still, bad judgments, negative judgments still proceed. So how do we deal with it? I've come up with 3 more ways that I've totally made up and it's not backed up by anything. First of all, acknowledge it. Acknowledge that people are talking about you. I love it when people talk about me. Talk about me all the time. Second of all, which is pretty contrary, but ignore it. No negative person has the right to tell you how you should live your life. And third of all, which is optional, don't do it, but I do it all the time, be angry. Be very angry. All these misjudgments and misconceptions, you have the right to feel the emotion of anger for what people are saying to you, and it's wrong. I'm not how you're saying it's bad or it's good. I live the way I choose to live. So those are the 3 things how you can deal with negative judgments. And I believe, we make mistakes all the time, but as an individual, you have to learn to accept judgments. Positive judgments, that is. Take that in. You have to accept that. And as a society, we have to learn to judge positively. Channel it in a good way. Don't condemn people. And there's a thin line between channeling them negatively and positively. Just don't cross that line. If not, it's gonna be messy. So in order to have a greater society, we have to conquer these 2 individual and societal sides. So therefore, thank you so much for listening. I hope my message gets through. Questions?